All right, what's up, y'all? Welcome back to the Dan Roll podcast. Got my boy Ali here with me. Ali, how you doing, man?
Doing well, doing well. Excited to talk about a blockbuster trade. Something that you and I think we both said when we were talking about it last week, or 2 weeks ago, whenever we talked, that we thought the team was going to be able to move forward and stick together, and we were wrong about that.
I, I still think that they should have kept Jaylen Brown.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, right before we hopped on this, I was watching a live stream of Brad Stevens. He did a press conference, I guess, to kind of explain what happened. So I'll be like chiming in here and there with some of the things that he said, but I was there was like a live stream and like the live stream chat was talking on the video. Ooh, it was just him getting smoked. Just everyone.
Did it seem like
Steven,
Celtics fans or everybody? Did it seem
Celtics
like
fan,
Celtics?
Celtics
Yeah,
fan. Yeah,
makes
like
sense.
people with,
Makes sense.
yeah, people with like the three leaf clover in their what's it called, profile picture. All of them. Fire Brad Stevens. What are we doing? This is awful. In the press conference, Brad Stevens said the word optionality a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And one person said, "If I hear the word optionality one more time, I'm gonna show up at the Boston's
Well,
front office."
what was the context of optionality? Like, what do you even mean by that?
Well, now that we're here, let's talk about it.
Yes, sir.
Let's get into this first segment. So we when we did our last pod, the Boston Celtics had struck out on Giannis. They were offering Jaylen Brown and two first round picks, and then the Bucks ended up choosing the Miami Heat offer of multiple young players and draft picks. After that happened, the Boston Celtics continued to shop Jaylen Brown. There were reports that they were asking for four first round picks because they thought that they had a superstar on their hands that they wanted to trade. And then the trade market basically said, we don't agree with this. He's not worth that much. That's how the whole analytics discussion started. Bobby Marks said a team told him that they viewed Jaylen Brown as like a seventh best player on the team or something like that. And
Wait, a seventh best player on a team?
you didn't see this?
No, bro.
Bobby Marks on ESPN said that an unnamed source, we'll say, in an NBA front office, told him that they view him as the seventh best player on a team.
Like,
And
were they talking about? I'm assuming you're saying like with the analytics aspect that they
yes,
looked at an actual team, whether it was their own team or another contending team, and said, yeah, stats wise, analytics wise, all that, that would be the seventh best guy on the team.
yes,
Wow,
yes.
that's pretty
But
crazy.
and to be fair, that was widely mocked because that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
It, I thought
What?
that either came from a Warriors, like a Steve Kerr
Mhm.
disciple, or is just someone trolling. Because
Well,
there's no other way
that
that
shows
someone
you.
could actually think that.
That shows you how analytics is real. Analytics is all that, but it's not the end story, right? As you can see, because Jalen Brown, and I think you and I both agreed last time we talked, like Tatum is a better player. Yeah, if they are going to ship a guy, it should. We sat there and go, Jalen Brown's taking it a little too personal, or at least he can take it personal. But the way he's acting, some of the comments, you should be putting that out in your camp and letting other people say that. Being so outlandish about it, especially an organization you want a championship with, and all that. And Brown needs to understand that it's a business, and yeah, he's not a top 10 player in the league or whatever. But if the analytics say that, I'm gonna sit there and go, that's probably true. However, that team, looks at the numbers and runs it. But oh my god, like you can't. There's no team in the league where he's not the fifth best player on the team, and that's pushing it.
Yeah,
So that's
yeah,
crazy. Yeah, yeah.
oh yeah, yeah. So yeah, the whole analytics, like, it, I feel like we basically land in the same spot. Like, maybe the analytics don't necessarily say he's paid or he should be paid as high as he is, but dang, when you see him on the court and all the production and just his presence, like what that does for the team, I mean, come on, like what are we talking about here? So the
Hold on,
Celtics.
let me say something.
Go ahead.
The analytics must have been just how you can use your offhand, because that's probably what it was. Because he still can't really dribble with his left, so that must be the only thing. Like that's all what he meant. Like that's where the context they just talking about him using his offhand,
You know,
because that's the
percentage.
only thing that makes sense.
Yeah, percentage driving left and finishing left.
Yeah, that's the
That's,
only thing that makes sense. Yeah.
so yeah, the Celtics continue to shop Jaylen Brown. We're not getting the trade offers that they expected. Free agency rolled along. Teams started making moves. Didn't have any room to also make a Jaylen Brown move. And all of a sudden, I'm 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 on a walk, and then I see my phone go off, and it's talking about Jaylen Brown to the Philadelphia 76ers, and the Sixers are sending back Paul George and then two first round picks, I believe. One of them has a complicated like pick swap, impossible just pick, uh, getting sent to Boston, and then two first or two second round picks as well. When I saw that, my jaw just dropped to the floor.
Hmm.
I had no idea what was going on. I didn't know that. I felt like if the Celtics were going to make a move, it would be to break up that salary slot. 35% is a lot of the cap. That's what Jaylen Brown makes. I thought they were going to break it up into two, maybe three different players to fill that spot. I thought maybe they'll make a trade with the Pelicans. They'll try to get back. Uh, why am I Trey Murphy the third?
Hmm.
Maybe they have to take back Jordan Poole's contract, or they get Dejounte Murray. Who knows? I thought that would probably be the move. They get Paul George, who also makes 35% of the cap, and a couple of draft picks. We'll just say. So I'll just throw it to you now. What were your initial thoughts when you saw what the trade was?
Yeah. Initial thoughts were like everybody or most people like, whoa, that's just Paul George has kind of entered that. I mean, I don't know. It's like I don't want to disrespect the guy, but Paul George has kind of entered that. That like I remember I heard. I think it was just a Warriors broadcast, and they were just talking. And someone talked about how Rudy Gay, like a coach talked about Rudy Gay, and he was like, he's good enough to get you fired. Type of thing. And I think that's like, like who else fits that role? It was one of the best quotes I've heard. One of the best quotes I heard because it makes so much sense. Like Tobias Harris, even though he was great last year, like for a little bit, Tobias Harris was like that. He's good enough to get you fired. I think Paul George has kind of entered that uh, arena, or, that type of player prototype. Like he's still Paul George. You still got stardom. He's still making that money. He's still good enough to play and get you wins in the regular season. You still got to run some plays for him. You still got to do all that, but he's gonna get you fired. Like he's just where it is. Uh, and so it's just like yeah, giving up Jaylen Brown for Paul George and just a couple picks, and then I think you realize like you said the relationship was not. It went too far. I don't think Jaylen Brown wanted to be a Celtic anymore. Whatever those talks happened, they were he didn't want no parts of it, and the team didn't think they could amend the relationship, and I think they felt they went and did what they thought was best, and they're in a win now mode, maybe, or what they are, but maybe as in that's what their thinking was, like we're gonna go get because to sit there and say that the Celtics aren't a contender no more, I don't agree with that. I'm not saying that they should be the number one team that people are looking at coming out of the East, but Jason Tatum, Paul George. I like the Conley pickup. I like the Conley pickup. Sign Mitchell Robinson, correct? So they're
Yep.
still making some moves. Re-sign Nemus. I can't even say his last name. How do you say his last name, Michael? I know you know.
Nemius Queta.
Oh, that's so easy. I just get Akeda. Yeah, that's Akeda. Utah State, baby. A lot of late night Mountain West basketball games I watch. So I still think that's a good team. But yeah, I think it just comes down. I think it's simple. That the Jaylen Brown thing, the relationship was done. I don't think he wanted to be a Celtic anymore. I think he made that clear. He made that clear with his public comments. These. the his own little podcast or streaming stuff he's done, and he's become a he was even very vocal after the trade, right? And even talked about how he viewed the Sixers and all that stuff. Obviously, they have a rivalry, got knocked out. Uh, so yeah, for the Celtics, I think it was just that like they had to get rid of him, and for whatever I guess Paul George was the best. Like, they didn't want to go young. They didn't want to go get someone like you said, the whole DeJounte Murray and Trey, all that. I think were options, but they said those guys for sure are not going to help us win a championship, right? Where PG could come in and fit a role or something, and they could get add some veterans with Conley, Mitchell Robinson, still be a good team and give themselves a puncher's chance to win a championship. For the Sixers, obviously it's great. I mean, that's a very balanced team. Maxi, Edgecombe, backcourt, and not only just being a great backcourt, a very young backcourt. So you have your youth, right? You have your future right there. Two really good basketball players. Maxi's already a star in the league, like right. That guy's a star. Then you bring in Jaylen Brown, Embiid. I just don't know if they'll ever get over the hump because of Embiid. Like Embiid, and I really like Joel Embiid, but some guys like PG, like Paul George, like some guys just can't win it. Some guys just can't get over the humps. It's on them, and sometimes the ball just doesn't bounce their way. Like Embiid against Kawhi when that ball just bouncing up on the rim and falling. That just doesn't happen for Embiid. It happens for the guys on the other team, and that's how some careers are. But I think that's for the Sixers. Obviously, it's a great trade. It makes so much sense. Daryl Morey, finally, I think getting some fan love. Right, I'm pretty sure Daryl Morey's name has been ran through the mud some, and all that.
Actually, Daryl Morey got fired. This is what was my man's name? This is the dude who was on the Cavs front office. I have to look this up real quick.
Oh, the one that LeBron
Yeah,
didn't like. Where's Morey at now?
I think he's with you and me at home. I think.
Oh shit! Why I still think it's Maury trade? No, never mind. They probably wouldn't even got done it with Maury. Uh, Maybe him and Harden could hook back up, man. They could rescind their
Yeah.
relationship.
Here we
Uh,
go. His name is Mike Gansey.
oh, I don't even know who that is.
So Mike Gansey is a president of basketball operations, and then let's see, Jameer Nelson got promoted to executive vice president of basketball operations.
He
Wow,
should be working with the Magic, man. Come on.
I know.
Yeah. So, well, yeah, Mike Gansey, good move, and yeah. So, I mean, you think the Sixers are a title contender?
Title contender. Ooh,
Are they not the best team in the East off paper, though?
the Sixers on
Yeah.
paper. So this is assuming a healthy Embiid.
Yeah, I mean that's a great point. I mean, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Sometimes it's not even Embiid's fault, but just being able to get over the hump. I mean, so that Knicks series, what do you think the biggest issue was? Knicks and Sixers.
The main thing was Joel Embiid could not play out on the perimeter when the Knicks brought him into action, like whatever screen and roll. They would just bring Joel Embiid's guy up to set the screen, and Joel Embiid just could not guard Jalen
Which
Brunson.
sucks, man. Like you talk about injuries because he was such a good defender. I
He
mean,
was,
right in his
you could argue, best defender in the league.
prime, it was because his body type isn't like Wemby, but he was able to stay with dudes on the in the perimeter, and then obviously in the paint, just do his thing. Like he was so good, and yeah. So I mean, yeah, it's so you don't think you wouldn't put them? You think the Knicks are still better?
I still would take the Knicks. I don't know. The fit to me is a little clunky. PG a better shooter, but also PG just doesn't play games. I don't get me wrong. I like the move for the Sixers. You're basically taking Paul George's production, but putting it in a guy who plays 70 games basically every pretty much every
And
season.
is better now,
Yeah,
right? Like
yeah.
Jaylen Brown is better
Jalen
than
Brown's
Paul
just better
George.
than PG.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would agree. I will say this is this trade was a little bit of a mind blow for me because for the longest time I love two-way wings. So my two favorite players were Paul George and Jaylen Brown. And even me as a Lakers fan, I still really like Jaylen Brown's game. I think I mentioned it last week that he was probably my second best player or my second favorite player. So then having these two guys traded for each other was just really weird because all the surrounding narratives for both guys and how their names have basically been dragged through the mud. Uh, the Paul George getting suspended towards the end of the season for banned substance.
Yeah.
I don't think we know which banned substance it was. Jaylen Brown talking about the media and just I'm still not 100% sure where all the energy. Well, I understand where all the energy is coming from, but I guess not thinking about a lot of these people just being good reporters and understanding that sometimes a source just cannot say like you can't just name a source. Like sometimes they provide really good information and they can't like let them know where it's from. So yeah, these two guys who were my two favorite players all of a sudden getting traded for each other. It was just really weird to see, but then also at the same time, now the Sixers with this guy that kind of in that spot where they had such success with Jimmy Butler on that team, and now granted, like Maxi wasn't there back then, also, but I feel like they over the past several years they've needed a real solid like 3-4 on that team, and now Jaylen Brown's going to be that, but probably for 70 plus games, like I said. I still just don't know if it's going to be enough to get them over the hump. I'd probably have them in like the second tier of the East, still behind the Knicks, probably in the same tier as the Celtics.
So that's why I think it gets, you know, like you said, Celtics fans want Brad Stevens fired. Right, this is obviously an initial reaction. Sixers won the trade. I think you watched the press conference. Stevens won't flat out say that, but I'm pretty sure there was some, points he made or context. Like it's out in the open, right? Like, hey, we swung and missed on Giannis. It got out uh, into the media. We couldn't repair the relationship, or the relationship was already done, so we had to move, and this is what we thought was best. Like I'm pretty sure
Yeah,
Stevens at times kind of alluded to, yeah, we lost the war with the Jaylen Brown saga this offseason, but like you said, right now the Celtics and the Sixers are kind of, you can't just write off the Celtics, and I think that's what and again, to go get Conley, to go get Mitchell Robinson, are those crazy moves? No, but I can see the Celtics in that organization being fine, being fine.
yeah, and I think as my light goes out for some reason, I so while I was watching the press conference, it really seemed like Brad Stevens wanted to make an emphasis that he really valued his relationship with Jaylen Brown. I remember at one point he said, as my light goes out again, whatever, I guess we're gonna have to go.
Jaylen Brown be on that voodoo stuff,
I
man.
know, right?
He,
You heard us talking.
yeah.
I'm telling you, Jaylen, you might be my favorite player now at this point because he couldn't be my favorite player as a Celtic.
So I didn't know Jaylen Brown was your favorite player.
Now he is.
Mm.
I
But
mean,
he's
my
always been
favorite player.
He's always been top.
He's pretty much always been in the top two.
So do you think he's better than Tatum? We talked about some last week and seemed like you agreed with me that Tatum's a better basketball player.
I think if you look at it in totality in terms of like stats and also just straight up on court production, Tatum probably kind of takes the edge over Brown. I just like Jaylen's attitude, his intensity, just like the drive to make every single play.
Yeah.
I like that attitude more than like Jason Tatum. Like, don't get me wrong, he's really good. He kind of seems a little more like nonchalant on the court, like just settles for a lot of step back threes, stuff like that. So yeah, to me, I just liked Jaylen Brown better as a player. Jason Tatum is still kind of up there for me as well. He just can't be in the too high because he's a Celtic. But no, yeah. So what I what I did want to say though, it seems like Brad Stevens was really trying to make it clear, he was talking to the media. You guys know me. We don't leak anything. Like nothing comes out of our camp. That was from everybody else.
Uh,
So it was almost as if it was like a not necessarily like a subtweet because a subtweet kind of sounds like it's kind of like a jab at Jaylen Brown.
yeah.
I think he was trying to make it clear like we really value our relationship with Jaylen Brown, and like we did everything that we could, but all the noise was coming from elsewhere. It wasn't really coming from us. And I think he really wanted to get that point across because like he pretty much only had positive things to say about Jaylen Brown. He said like the value he brought to the organization as well as the community in Boston. He said he talked about how he really valued that. But I mean, hey, when you make that trade, it's kind of a tough sell, and that was a big part of all the questions that he was getting. Like, how do you explain this to the fans, basically? Because a lot of fans were mad, and then he kind of talked about, yeah, I would understand it, but
I think it's like with Monday morning quarterbacking, or right, hindsight's always 2020. Like, the Celtics, since Stevens got there, and, well, before Stevens was even there, right? They're a great I mean, they went, again, up, like you said, being a Lakers fan, that rivalry, right? The Celtics and the Lakers, and how good they've been. But they've competed, and they found ways to win championships, and all, compete for championships. And since Stevens was the head coach and Danny Ainge was the GM, and then Stevens going to the front office, my point is they're constantly doing what needs to be done to go try to win championships. Trading for Giannis, like if the Celtics traded Jaylen Brown for Giannis, they'd be happy, correct? Fans would be happy. They tried, it didn't work. And where did they go wrong or whatever? Who knows? But there's pros and cons to everything. They tried, it didn't work. This is the league, this is business, and here's the consequences of it. There isn't just a situation where it's just the pros. We try to go trade Jaylen Brown. You want to go get Giannis, you have to trade Jaylen Brown. We did it, it didn't work, and all that. We don't leak anything. Well, it's gonna get leaked. Like no matter what, these things are gonna be talked about and stuff. So you know for the fans, I think like they couldn't. The relationship was done, and they felt this was the best thing to do off that. And I think as far as answering the questions, how do you explain it to the fans? I think that's I think just them being being a professional, right? In front offices will usually, unless it gets really ugly, front offices will usually, especially in press conferences, say we still love the guy. I still love him. Da da da. This and that, and he's not going to talk down upon him. But yeah, I mean, I think that's something that people look at. Like you swing and you miss, and there's consequences from it. But you you take those chances, and I give the Celtics a lot of credit for making the move still. Like I think teams want to hold on to it a little too long or something, and I think it was good to move on and move on quick as soon as they felt like this was over. And just get it done with and be able to transition and move on, and now you're going into a full camp, or you're not making a deal in the middle of the season, type of thing. You're not making a deal after the first 2 weeks and things have gone ugly. Uh, and now you got a new team that you can mold around. Hopefully Tatum is healthy for them and all that. Uh, but yeah, I just, and like I said, with that organization, how Missoula, what he's proven, what he is as a coach and all that. So Derek White, Tatum, PG, Mitchell Robinson obviously starts. And then they got a couple young guys that could play the four, or play the two, or slot them in however they need to.
Yeah, yeah. No, they're. I mean, like you had mentioned, the Celtics by hook or by crook, they are good in the regular season. So even if they don't really have, even if they didn't really get a replacement, one for one for Jaylen Brown, I mean, I was still going to pencil in the Celtics for 50 or more wins,
Yeah.
unless unless like I don't know, disaster strikes or something. Like I always thought they were gonna end up being really good in the regular season. One interesting point that Brad Stevens had talked about, the question was posed to him. Well, you were saying that you wanted optionality. Jaylen Brown makes the same amount as Paul George, essentially. They
Yeah.
both make about 35% of the cap. How does this give you optionality? So his points were Paul George's contract is 1 year shorter, and we have more draft assets to trade. So I guess they're
There
gonna
you go.
basically,
There
yeah,
you go.
yeah, they're trying. So it essentially sounds like they're gonna try to run it back this season, and then if it doesn't work, then they're gonna try to break up that contract because it'll be an expiring deal at that point. And no one thinks that Paul George is gonna end up getting anywhere near that same contract
Oh,
for his
Paul
next.
George knows he's not.
He knows, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
Paul George talking to his accountants. He's talking to his lawyers. He's figuring out how to lower his child support pay. I don't know how many kids he got, but he an NBA. He getting all that ready to go. Yeah, he knows.
yeah,
He knows, man. But yeah, I mean, just hearing that, like, to us talking about it right now, I I like it more for the Celtics because I said the whole Paul George he's getting into that category good enough to get you fired, but he's better than Rudy Gay. Uh, Tobias Harris was better than him last year, but I would still take PG-13 going into his next year just to be better than Tobias. And I might be wrong about that. Maybe Tobias is gonna, he's with the Spurs now, which I thought was a little bit of a weird signing actually. Uh, like I thought the Spurs I don't think they needed to do that. Good enough to get you fired. Like, I don't think they have a pretty good core, and you have to add Tobias Harris to your core if you're going to sign him. But Paul George is a professional, and I think that's a huge thing. He's going to come in and he wants to win a championship. How many games can he play? They're obviously going to load manage him some. Like you said, the Celtics, that culture, that organization, they're going to find ways to win games with whoever they put on the court enough in the regular season, unless it goes to hell, right? But they're going to find ways to go to the playoffs. And Paul George is a professional. And that's why I think I like the Mike Conley one too. Like these guys are older. Yeah, these guys are at the end of their career and all that. But these guys are Paul George and Conley play on both sides of the ball, right? These are guys that when they are going to step on the floor, they're going to compete, all that stuff. They still attribute to winning. The problem is those two, and more so Paul George because he's had those playoff blunders. They haven't attributed to winning in the playoffs, right? Deep in the playoffs and being able to win those games. But you give yourselves a puncher's chance with that. So, that type of roster. And one thing I want to ask you about, especially because now that I found out he's your favorite player of all time, Jaylen Brown, you know, do you see him like you said, his personality is shifted, and I think a lot of that, or not his personality, maybe he's just been more in the spotlight
yeah,
with Tatum out and being the number one guy, and that's very, when you're the man, you're the man. You just act different. You walk, you can't. It's very hard not to change some, or whether you want to call it ego. Can he, once the season starts, tone down on that some? Because that's what I'm saying. Like if the Sixers go off and they're having struggles and all this stuff, does it become a circus with Jaylen Brown some? Like, is he gonna stay being that vocal now that he's the Celtics situation got weird. Just him and Tatum, right? Just a natural. I'm not saying they didn't like each other. I don't even know how that relationship is. It seems like they were always cordial and it never got to that point. But
yeah.
and
To me, they were both just coworkers.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah. But him Tatum getting hurt, and look, I am better. That competitor mindset, and now it turns into this. Him saying stuff publicly about this was my favorite year, even though we didn't win a championship. And now he got traded. It seems like he's still a little bit being more vocal than he usually is, kind of just saying stuff. So that's one thing I hope for Brown, like not go making sure it's still about basketball when it gets to that point. Because I think you see a lot of guys in their career, kind of right, they become cancers, in the locker room or to the team. I don't think Jaylen Brown is there, but he's on that trajectory. And then you put that in with Embiid and already with the Sixers in the process. And do we need to get rid of Embiid? And, Embiid's had to defend himself, obviously, at times because, they haven't won. They haven't got to the finals. So that's where I sit there and go, if this gets off to a rocky start, how does Jaylen Brown handle it with this newfound voice of his, going at people in the media, saying stuff, out loud that is brings distractions.
yeah. I to be fair to Jaylen Brown, early last season, I think they started off 0-3 or something like that, and then he basically said, "I think we're going to be fine. I think once we give this core this the core for this season at least time to play together, we're going to end up being good." They ended up being good, so I think, and also to his point as well, he had mentioned that after he got traded, a lot of the players on the Celtics had reached out to him as well and said, "Hey, man, it was a pleasure playing with you. Like, I thought you were a great teammate, etc." So, and then also, I mean, I watched the stream myself. I watched pretty much the whole, almost the whole Twitch stream after he got traded. I mean, he had Tyrese Maxey and VJ Edgecombe on the pod, like they called him, and then he called them back on the pod or on the Twitch stream. He talked to them. Maxey said that he was going to end up hopping on one of the streams during the season. So I think,
Well, everything's good now. Everything's good now, Michael. The trade just happened.
yeah,
But I just think that trajectory, like, and we talked about last time, such a very educated cat, very smart dude. He's always handled himself well. Uh, but this year, like you said, at the end of the year, even you said like some of his post, and maybe him and his camp wanted out, right? And he got what he wanted and all that, but just didn't handle it like you would think Jaylen Brown would handle it. Uh, and once you kind of get to that, you kind of make that change as a player. I think it's usually hard to flip back, if that makes sense. And because like we're talking about, like this is not just the player, but their camp, right? How they have a whole team behind them, right? How they move, they have the reporters that they go to and all that stuff. So, is it this? Okay, we have to protect this Jaylen Brown narrative now. And so when things, it becomes bigger when you're with the Sixers now and you struggle a couple games, instead of sitting there going, I got to be better, there's this, like with KD. And I'm not, but KD has gotten to the point, just the whole burners. Obviously, that's a whole different thing, but it's this I got to protect, who I am. It's everybody else's fault around me. These guys don't pass me the ball, type of thing. This narrative from his camp or something's being pushed out. And I just think, I feel like Jaylen Brown has made that jump to go that way. When you sit there and go, this was my favorite year, like we won a championship a couple years ago, but this was my favorite year. It seems like that's where you're heading. That's where you and your camp feels like is the best way for you to head.
and no one else said that on the team. He was. I didn't hear anybody else say
Yeah. So
that
and
that was my favorite year. Go
and the
ahead.
Sixers, Philly is not a. It's not. I guess it's not New York sports. The like New York media, but as far as fans, I mean, right? That's a tough. That's a diehard sports town, and it's they won a championship now, right? They've been trying 1-1 for a while now, and yeah, I that's the only thing that worries me for the Sixers. Like where is Brown's head? Uh, and when the struggles come, which I think they will come, like any season comes, just like the Knicks had and all that stuff. do they stick together as a team, or does the blame game start getting thrown around? That's what wonder about.
Yeah, and to that point, uh, I bet you Jaylen Brown comes into that locker room and is basically gonna be the same person that he was on the Celtics. He's gonna he has a he has the personality of a leader. I think pretty much in every room. That's why you hear all those things about he thinks that he's the smartest in the room. I don't know if he thinks that. He mentioned on the stream that when you're around a bunch of athletes, I mean, what do you expect? which I
Yeah.
thought was funny, but I think that's just his personality. He's just a leader in pretty much any room that he goes to. Embiid, I don't know that Embiid is playing enough games to really be that leader. Maxi probably should be, but also Maxi's still pretty young. Jaylen Brown just has more, call it like pelts on the wall. He just has more experience. I don't. I still think they're going to be really good, but when that adversity hits, what's he going to be saying on the streams? I bet you the entire Philly organization is going to be on pins and needles. Like, oh gosh, I really hope he doesn't say anything crazy on the streams. Like, yeah, go ahead.
Well, no, I mean, right there, you said it. Like he's become one of those guys. Right
Yeah,
now, or he's ended the year becoming one of those guys, and this off season has become one of those. He's become one of those guys, and I hope he does. I hope now that he's out of Boston, right, and now he's at a new home, he doesn't continue to be that, because if he does, that shit don't lead to championships. Like you look at the Knicks, everyone podcasts, everyone streams now. You know what I mean? Like, look at us, we get to hop on this, we can even pod. So obviously those guys do it, and it's a money thing for them now. Like, right, as why not do it and grow their brand? But the Knicks podcast together, right? Like Hart and Brunson podcast together. Like they stick together as a team. So that whole you know that shit don't lead to championships. And yeah, so I think that's the weird part, man. Like, so did he? I don't watch that stream shit at all. Like, I don't the Twitch, the all that stuff. All I see is the highlights. He did it all year last year.
for the most part, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, he
yeah,
did it. He did it throughout the season. Actually, at the end of the season, he brought like random people on the stream that are just like the homies that he made, like that, like they became friends through the stream. Like I guess he calls them, he basically calls them the day ones, and
yeah.
he just let these random dudes that he met on Twitch on the stream, and then they were just chopping it up on the stream. I didn't stay for that. I didn't really need to stay for that, but yeah, he's really built a community off that, and I I mean uh, another thing that he says a lot, especially in the last stream, he says the word authenticity a lot, and I think that really means a lot to him, and he really wants to just get on stream and just kind of like dead all the narratives that he's hearing on the like through the media, and it was made very clear. Like he basically said, whenever someone says unnamed source in the media, he believes there's no unnamed source behind it. It's just the person, the media personality, making their point and
Yeah.
using this phantom unnamed source, which I don't know. I feel like a lot of journalists were probably like screaming at the screen and pulling their hair out, like, no, this is hard work. A lot of us,
Yeah.
and granted, it probably does happen, but I think for the most part, a lot of the media, they have, what's the word I'm looking for? Like they really take this seriously. Like yeah, go ahead.
Well, no, again, you just like you said that. Does that happen? Very little. Like it happens very little. Uh, and I think uh, that's what I'm saying. He's starting to say that shit. That it's this anything that's said about me. I'm not just gonna put my head down and play basketball, and what I mean. Let that being. I'm not going like, oh, I'm authentic, and I'm gonna let that bullshit. If it's not true, whatever, just go away, and I'm gonna just be me and play. No, now it's this. everything that is said about me is a lie. Everything that's, where there's smoke, there's fire. And everyone wants to come at the media and all that stuff. No, like you said, these journalists do a good job. Like, every time, like the whole look at the Giannis thing, they were right about all this stuff. You know what I mean? And it became pretty clear, right, that Giannis wanted out and he won. But in the beginning, it was, fans want to believe, fans want to go against the media and believe their players or all this and that. But where there's smoke, there's fire. And I think that's my point. Like Jaylen Brown coming out and say any unnamed source is lying about me or this and that. That's not true. And it's obviously he's not on the Celtics anymore. You know what I mean? And you look at that like that. That'd be if that was true. And I know those unnamed sources weren't just about his relationship with the Celtics, right? But I assume a lot of that was right about the tension between him and the Celtics.
I think a lot of that is like I think it was Colin Cowherd. He said that two people in NBA front offices told him that Jaylen Brown thinks that he's the smartest man in the room. Colin Cowherd also inexplicably said that they thought that like those front office people thought that he was a disease. I don't know if that was Colin's like own take on that or what the front office people actually said. And Jaylen Brown kind of genuinely seemed offended by that, which I don't blame him.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone has ever called me a disease. That
Yeah.
I probably feel some type of way about that
But
too.
fuck, Michael, I see it. Like I see it. Like I'm just being honest. Like
Yeah.
the way he's handled this when Tatum got injured has been weird in a way. And this is where I just think like you want to be authentic, then you guys sit there and say when I say that my favorite year was this year instead of the year that the we won a championship. You guys sit there and own it and be like, yeah, man, I like being the man. Like, I like seeing you guys see that I could be the best player on the team. Now, again, did he say that because he wanted out? And maybe he was lying, but he wanted to push himself out? Okay. But then you're not being your authentic yourself. Then you're creating narratives and you're doing all this stuff. So, yeah. But let's move. The Sixers won the trade, but listening to it some more, uh, I think the Celtics are gonna be all right. And I like pairing it with the Mike Conley signing. Like I think if you're gonna keep getting older and these guys that are kind of at the end of their career, but they're bringing professionals in. Tatum's still a top 10 player in the league. Mitchell Robinson just won a championship. Missoula is still a top 5 coach in the league, and I think they'll be fine. But the Sixers, I think that's a good team right now, bro. That's a very good team.
Real quick, I was looking up some stats earlier today. You were already saying you kind of like the trade a little more for the Celtics. You want to hear some stats that may lead you to like the trade even more?
Yeah, make me sound good.
Okay, so I was very curious. The Celtics, and I think it was Brian Windhorst who said this. The Celtics internally thought that Derek White had a better season than Jaylen Brown did. And on its face, you're like, what? I think Derek White shot his worst percentage from deep, and just like shooting percentage overall, his worst in maybe not his career, but at least as a Celtic for sure. So I was curious. I looked up. I found this website, pbpstats.com. Very good on-off data that you can find there. So I was very curious. The Celtics, in the minutes where Jaylen Brown was on the floor and Derek White was off the floor, the Celtics were plus 0.1 net. So net is just basically per 100 possessions. 0.11. So basically even for a team that always wins 50 games, for a team that won, I believe it was 56 games, second in the East, with who was supposed to be their best player.
Yeah.
When it was just him and Derek White off the floor, even. Now, if you look at the Celtics with Derek White on the floor and Jaylen Brown off, you ready for this? The Celtics were In the net per 100 possessions, plus 15.8.
Wow. Well, that unnamed source tried to tell us, man. Jaylen Brown's the best player on the team. But I mean, yeah, like, and I'm not trying to. I really sit there and go at times when I watch them play this year, and it's hard to say this because, like you say, he's a two-way wing. He plays defense. He plays hard. He won a championship. The Celtics, he does the little things too. I think this year it looked like there was a lot of empty stats by him, dude. There was a lot of empty possessions by him. Like, yeah, that kind of adds up. Because the plus minus, I think that analytically is one of the best things you can have, and that's why it's used so much, right? Because that is, like, oh, he does the things that don't show up on the stat sheet, right? That is literally what plus minus is. Like, you are on the floor, and you just do those things that help your team win, right? That's plus minus, and I mean, and 14-point difference. Like, that's not a coincidence. That's not a
Yeah,
coincidence at all.
actually, and further to your point, I was curious. Uh, well, maybe it's like individual players that maybe like they played a lot of minutes with one person, and maybe there's a little bit of noise in the data. When you so then I went ahead and looked at what would this be like the next six best players on the Celtics, and I looked at their minutes with Derek White and without Jaylen Brown, and also with Jaylen Brown and without Derek White, so vice versa. Man, some of these are crazy. I'll look at. I'll go ahead and start with Peyton Pritchard.
Uh huh.
Peyton Pritchard with Derek White and no Jaylen Brown, plus 19 net. So
Wow.
pretty good. Now you ready for this? With Jaylen Brown and Derek White off the floor for Peyton Pritchard, minus 0.9,
Jaylen Brown and Payne Pritchard together, and
and
then,
Derek
yeah.
White off the floor.
I mean, here's the thing, and this is where I think I don't know if he'll ever be a 1A guy to win a championship. Like, can he be a 1A guy with the Sixers and win a championship? Okay, but that's also because Embiid, if he's healthy in the playoffs, can still be your 1A guy, every 3 games or something, right? And then Max, he's right there, and he's your 1A guy half the time. Jaylen Brown's your 1A guy half the time. He's not enough of a playmaker to just be your solely your guy, right? Like, he is not like Derek White is more of a playmaker than Jaylen Brown is. Because when I watch, like, now I'm sitting here thinking, when I watch Brown play, like, it's him getting his own. Like, now, does that mean he's what is his assist numbers?
This year, I believe he averaged. Let's see. I think it was around five assists per game.
But his usage rate was huge, high, correct?
Very high. Yeah.
Yeah. So he had the ball in his hand a lot. Uh, but yeah, I mean, it makes sense in a way now that I'm sitting here and rethinking about how he plays it. I mean, he's not a he's not a big pick and roller, right? Like, he's just not that. He is a take the ball in transition, get downhill type of guy, right? He's obviously he could play 1-on-1. Uh he can shoot the ball enough, right? Like, he's not a bad shooter. Uh but he's a 1-on-1 guy. Right? Am
Yeah.
I wrong about that, or
No, I wouldn't disagree. Actually, I mean, yeah, I kind of go back to I went back to this. I believe in our last podcast, the Warriors when they faced the Celtics in the finals, that was one of the reasons that the Warriors ended up winning the series. They treated the Celtics like they would only play 1-on-1, and then when they did, they were able to basically bait them into the things that the Warriors wanted them to do. And they were yet still young at that point. So it ended up working really well. But also at the same time, the numbers just don't back up Jaylen Brown being a number one on a team.
here's where it gets, and I think this is very interesting. You hear this. like you said, from guys in the league or like very diehard fans or your Nate Duncans or whatever, the guys that really know what they're talking about and like you said, have access to these numbers or talk to the people that are really in the league and see these things. Is Jaylen Brown Jaylen Brown's a good basketball player. Is he how much of a product of he is he of the Celtics? Like, how good they are, how much talent's been around him, all that. Not that he's gonna go off to the Sixers and not be good, but Jaylen Brown the last 5 years has been a focal point of going a team that won a championship or is going to a championship or contending or one of the best teams in the league. Does Jaylen Brown go somewhere and you see it happen all the time and then you look back and you hear people talk or if you do your research, people in the know were talking about this. And like you said, you want to say Bobby Marks is saying this shit that is outlandish and I believe it's outlandish too, but now you're bringing up these numbers and you're sitting there and going, this is what the people are looking at and seeing, sometimes the naked eye can't, or these are what basketball experts are seeing. Like, well, that dude's, he's not as good as you think he is, and does he get exposed some? Like, this makes me feel really curious because, I mean, numbers wise, where do the Celtics you're saying that the Celtics felt, or people are saying the Celtics felt that White was the better player than Jaylen Brown for him this year.
At least that Derek White had the better season
But
this year, even though
did
he didn't shoot very well.
did Pritchard have a better season? Do they think Pritchard was great this year? Right?
So it's very interesting. When you take contract into account, they also feel like Peyton Pritchard played better.
Oh, they said that.
This is at least a source told
Bobby Marks.
Brian Windhorst.
Oh, so there's multiple people to Bobby
Multiple.
Marks, Brian. Yeah,
Yes.
man. And see, everyone hears this shit, and like you said, the media, everyone goes, "Man, what is wrong?" Like people just saying stuff. They just trying to throw their thing in the moment and get the clicks or whatever. A lot of this stuff ends up being true,
Yeah.
right? Like those guys see it, but it's like the I think people credit it to. I mean, people have been doing it forever, but Bill Walsh, right? Like the Bill Walsh, legendary Bill Walsh, right? Like you let a guy go a year early. You always let a guy go a year early than a year late. You don't get caught up in that. And is is that what they did with Brown? Like just seeing like, hey man, he's good, but he's not as good as people think. And they moved on from him. I'm very curious. I'm very curious. Like, and then that the Paul George. I mean, obviously they did not want Paul George first. They wanted to figure out a way to get Brown for Giannis, but maybe the Paul George thing even they can't repair the relationship, and they said, hey, this guy is going to come in and play enough of a role. And we look at Brown, and Brown put these numbers, and we put the ball in Brown's hands, but he was plus 0.001 when it came to net ratings at times, where Paul George can be plus 0.001. Paul George can do enough with Tatum being healthy to be able to do that. So yeah, man, I think I'm very curious to see how Brown does with the Sixers. Now he's still around a lot of talent. Now he's still very good, but that's eye opening. It's like the Kevin Love stuff. Like Kevin Love with the Timberwolves. If you look all the way back there, like you would think he's a top 10 player in the league. But then, you sit there and guys will tell you, like, well, no, like Kevin Love isn't. You know what I mean? That's a lot of empty stats that he's putting up, right? That whole term, empty numbers. And yeah, man, I said last week I don't think Brown plays as hard as he should. I don't know if you remember that. Like he doesn't rebound like he did, and maybe that was this year thing, and maybe it's because he had more of an offensive workload. But maybe this year he just be was the number one guy, and that's what I'm saying. It's hard. You become the guy, you can take plays off on defense. You can take plays off here, and so he put his numbers up, they won games, but it just turned it into him not being as good as it looked.
Yeah. Yeah. No, yeah. It was really eye opening to me as well. Basically up and down, like I mentioned, the six guys that I looked at, pretty much all of them, not even pretty much, all of them were plus a whole lot more with Derek White on the floor and Jaylen Brown off the floor compared to them playing with Jaylen Brown and Derek White off the floor. Like in one case, 30-point difference in net rating, which is absolutely like I don't even know how that happens, and it's on 300 minutes. Like it's a lot. So it was really eye opening to me as well, and to me it just kind of crystallized, kind of like what you were saying. He probably shouldn't be the best player on a championship team. He probably has to be a number two. I think he could be a number two. I mean, we kind of saw that he was basically kind of like a number two that year. The Celtics won the championship, but he played like a number one.
Yeah.
So, and then even if you look at that playoff run, it's kind of the same thing. The Celtics were actually kind of better with him off the floor, but it's just that when he's locked in and he really like takes the matchup seriously, he can lock it up, and he can really produce on offense as well. It's just that he's not an offensive engine. Like I was very curious, and I kind of looked at some of the other top players in the league. Shea, his on-off numbers are ridiculous. Jokic's on-off numbers, ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like those are the two guys that he, in terms of like salary, that he kind of gets compared to. Where like if you're being paid a max, you have to be as good as those guys. And Jaylen Brown just like the numbers don't back up him being as good as those guys. I also looked at Jalen Brunson, not as good as you would think.
Oh well,
So,
but the difference is Jalen Brunson just willed his team to a championship. And now the Knicks were great as a team. That was a team thing, but like Brunson put up 46 on 50% shooting, whatever type of thing. But yeah, man, that's yeah, I was you brought up something right now. Yeah, I forgot, but just the whole. Yeah, man. Let's move on because that's pretty.
yeah,
That's
no,
pretty
yeah,
eye-opening.
we should. Yeah, we'll go ahead and move on. Maybe we'll just do one. We had mentioned we'll just pick like one off-season thing that we wanted to pick. We'll just just in terms of time, we'll just let you go. And then we'll call it a wrap.
I think yours is more interesting because, especially you being a Lakers fan, I think I would like to hear your where they're headed, how good you think they'll be with that signing.
Sure. No, yeah. So yeah, we wanted to pick one off-season move that we thought was interesting. I, as a Laker fan, and even if I wasn't a Laker fan, I still might pick this. The Lakers trading basically every draft pick that they were able to trade for Walker Kessler. And on its face, just the Lakers signing Walker Kessler. If you looked at like Lakers like discussion boards and like all the like Lakers like streamers and reporters, like what people would be saying, they all wanted to sign Walker Kessler. They all wanted the Lakers to trade for Walker Kessler, basically over the past 2 seasons. And then it finally happens, but we have to pay pretty much every draft asset that we have to get him. And also at the same time, LeBron is not here anymore. LeBron is going to be going elsewhere. And then we spent the rest of our cap space on good players, but also at the same time, how good are they going to be for the Lakers? I don't know. The main thing is Luka has been wanting a rim running center pretty much the entire time that he's been there. He has made Jackson Hayes look like a baller at times with the way he's setting him up for lobs. DeAndre Ayton, that clearly just wasn't good enough. He didn't want to be turned into Clint Capella, as he so eloquently put. Now he's going, I believe it's to the Wizards. What really disappoints me is kind of going back to what the Celtics said. The Celtics were mentioning it's really difficult to win when you have 2 guys making 70% of your cap. If you look at the Lakers cap sheet right now, Luka only makes 30% of the cap. Austin Reeves with his new contract makes 25% of the cap. Walker Kessler, I believe his ends up being around 20% of the cap. Maybe a little less, actually. I think it might be like 18% of the cap. On its face, this is the bones of a championship winning team. The only thing is, the Lakers draft picks over the past, call it 5 seasons, very disappointing. You want to hear some of these guys that they drafted over the past couple of seasons?
All I know is a dude from Indiana. That was a little disappointing. Hood
Yeah,
Schifino, what a great name. Uh,
Jalen Hood Shafino, one
he
of the
was
most disappointing.
terrible, right?
Yeah, very disappointing. They drafted Dalton Connect
Oh
that
yeah,
previous year. JJ wanted to play him. He wanted to, but Dalton Connect would forget plays that were drawn up for him.
yeah,
They like Bronny more than they like Dalton Connect.
yeah,
They also drafted Max Christie, who was no, which granted, Max Christie pretty good.
yeah.
He's not on the team anymore though. We traded him for Luca. Scottie Pippen Jr. was on the team as well. He's not on the team anymore. We also, if you remember this, we drafted THT, Taylor Horton Tucker, who is now
Oh
playing in Europe.
yeah,
What I'm trying to say is this was a really good move, but because of the Lakers fumbling draft picks for basically the entire 2020s, now we're just a second, maybe third tier contender in the West. But I'll let you go ahead now at this point. What were your thoughts when you saw that the Lakers finally signed their rim running center in Walker Kessler?
well, your three best players are white, so you can't win it. Like the Lakers can't win a championship, bro.
Actually, so it's funny you said that. My friend Sebastian, he had texted me when that happened. He said, "Well, what do you know? We have the Snowtime Lakers.
Yeah, no, yeah.
Snowtime Lakers is crazy." But also on top of that, we are in a world now where the Lakers' three best players are white, and the Boston Celtics' three best players are black.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, that's a good point. What a flip. Yeah, it wouldn't be good for the world if the Lakers won the championship. So they can't win right now with this political. But yeah, I think like you said, it made too much sense. Uh, as soon as the trade for Luca happened, right, the next thing was get a defensive center in there, right? They went for Mark Williams, I believe, and then it got the trade got vetoed, and then Jackson saw all that. So I think it makes a lot of sense. LeBron leaving, there's some money. Go Kessler was great. I mean, 2 years ago, right, was great with the Jazz, right? Like he was the big name around the league and who this guy is, and you watch him play and you go, whoa. Like if you're a casual guy and you didn't really know who Walker Kessler was, which kind of was like me, I won't lie to you, as far as like I didn't really know a lot, and then you watch this guy play, and you go, "Damn, this dude's good." Uh, but do they have that winning DNA with those guys? Like Luca, Reeves, Kessler, like Smart's gone, Rui's gone, LeBron. For as much as you want to say he doesn't play defense, stuff like that, people don't like. It's changed a little bit with how old, but if you just watch them in the playoffs and stuff, like LeBron's teams are usually defensive minded, and that's not a coincidence. You know what I mean? It's not. Uh, he's gone. Like who are your winning players? You know what I mean? Who is your? Because that's been their problem, right? Like who can make that hustle play or that extra play or what OKC can do, what New York was able to do, what the Spurs put on a clinic of doing. I don't see that. Like they signed Quentin Grimes, right? Like okay, hey, Quentin Grimes had a good year, but like you said, I think it was a good signing. But I agree with you. Like second tier contenders. Like, can they go make it happen? Yeah, but are you just gonna go outscore everybody? I just so Reeves is your second best player, or Reeves is your second best scorer, which is what it's been for a while. I just don't know if you win a championship off that. Not that Reeves can't score enough to do it, just that like he should be a guy that just is almost like Jamal Crawford-esque. Like I think he's better than Crawford. He should play more minutes than Crawford. He has more to his game than Crawford. But my point is like I don't think he could be your second best player on the team and win a championship. Is Kessler your second best player now? Is he better than Reeves? Because I would say yes because of what he could bring on both sides of the ball, but I don't think he's played enough yet too though to say that. You know, uh, so yeah, that's. I think it makes sense. I think it's a good signing, but I don't know if it's enough. Obviously with Luca Reeves, you're always gonna, and being the Lakers, hopefully, they're going to be winning enough games when that a trade deadline comes, and obviously they're going to be in talks and this or what move they have to make. So yeah, but I mean, I think it's a good signing, but I agree that I think with the guys they lost, I think you got to replace some grit, some winningness to it. You got to find those guys, and I don't know outside who. So Kessler, Grimes, and who else? Is there anybody else?
So I actually saw on ESPN they were trying to say Jared Vanderbilt is slotted at the starting four, and then sorry ESPN, but Jared Vanderbilt probably isn't even going to be in the rotation. JJ doesn't
Kessler
want to
can't
play.
shoot. Kessler can't shoot, right?
He's trying to start,
He's trying.
but he's not there.
Yeah, so it's they're gonna let him shoot some in the regular season trying to get there, but unless he has this huge just leap, right? So you can't put Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt can't shoot, dude. So you can't put two guys there that can't shoot. Um, yeah, like Vanderbilt at the four, like again in the regular season, that's fine. But he's so I mean he's unplayable at times.
Yeah,
Like I want to sit there and not even I didn't even watch the Lakers for 82 games in the playoffs. I want to say Vanderbilt probably got benched 4 times during the year. For stretches. So or he was the 6, 8, 10, 15, 12, 8 minute guys for a 2 week stretch. Like that's all he got. Uh so yeah, I'm trying to think who else off the top of my head. Like
they might just have to start. Well, I'll say his full name, and then I'll call him by his nickname the rest of the time. Sandro Mamukelashvili.
good basketball player, dude. Good basketball player. See,
He's good.
he's a good. I mean, offense, like, oh my god, 4 white dudes. But you put him. I mean, that you're gonna score, and he's good. I mean, he was good with the Raptors, right? Like he's good, yeah. But y- you have Luca, like you said, you have Reeves on a max. You have like you're the Lakers. You want to win championships. You're not there yet. So maybe Palinka goes and makes some moves. Like who's the three right now?
The three might have to be Quentin Grimes,
Yeah. How
and
tall is Grimes?
I want to say he's 6'5".
So he's not even a real wing defender in the league now, right? Right. Like I mean, he's not a 6'7", 6'8" dude. Like Vanderbilt is your wing defender. So you sit there and go, but can you play him and Kessler? They can start together, but how many minutes can they play now with just that spacing aspect of it?
Yeah, actually, I just looked this up. Quentin Grimes is actually 6'4", so even worse.
Yeah,
Uh, yeah, that's not tall enough to be a starting three in this league.
yeah. And then Reeves can't play the three.
No,
He can
sir.
play.
Oh no.
Yeah, he can
He can
play.
kind of play offensively.
Yeah,
Defensively, he will get
Reeves.
eaten
Reeves
alive.
can't play the three. Uh, I think it'd be great to still have LeBron
It
as
really would be.
yeah, and I know it's obviously LeBron's decision, right? Like that's how his player option, right? Like yeah. Uh, and they would have been able to sign Kessler even with Braun?
Braun would have had to take less, but yes, they could have.
Yeah, it'd be great to have Braun. You got to go get I think that's what you got to do. You got to go get a veteran. Uh, I think Dorian Finney signed somewhere, but like a guy like that can still play some. Uh, like Vanderbilt, but someone better than Vanderbilt right now.
Yeah.
You got to get something like that. Like I think it'd be great to have a So they didn't want to. What did Hachimura contract go? It was money, or they just want to move on.
Yeah, I think he actually signed for a similar amount to what he was already making with the Lakers. I'll go ahead and because I can't remember off the top of my head how much he made this season, but if we look here, yeah, he signed a 2-year, $28 million deal with the Clippers. So it wasn't really all that much,
Wow, and he stayed in L.A. So they
and he
both
stayed in
sides
LA.
probably wanted to move on.
Yeah.
I assume. Um, so Kessler can defend the rim well, correct?
Hmm.
How's he on the perimeter?
Eh, I mean, not terrible, but also not great.
Yeah, because I mean, what do you do? What do you do defensively? Like, you can't ask Luca to play hard 82 games. Like, the dude's just not in that shape. Like, that's not who he is no more. Like, he's just a bigger guy than he is when he first came in the league. Uh, Reeves, I mean, he's gotten to that point too. He's become
Yeah,
a great enough scorer and stuff where he doesn't play. I don't want to say he doesn't play hard, but he's not a nasty, get in your face defender. I mean, they were terrible defensively this year, correct at times.
terrible,
Terrible,
just terrible.
and you didn't get better. Well, you got better with Kessler at the rim, but you lost Smart, you lost Hachimura. Braun, I guess we know Braun at times took plays off, but like you look at Braun in the playoffs, like you lost the guy that could play. Braun could still defend all five positions, and Braun can still do. Even people that want to deny it, Braun can still defend on the perimeter. Braun can still bang in the low post. Um, you lost Smart, you lost Hachimura. So those are your two guys that could defend and give you some length. Well, Smart, he's not big, but he defends bigger
He
than he.
plays bigger than
Yeah,
his height would suggest. Yeah,
I guess, but Grimes became more of a scorer this year too. Like Grimes' game has become that, and obviously, he's a guy that will fit in his role and defend. But like we say, he's not that type of guy. So I guess you got to go. I'm assuming the next thing is you got to find the best wing you can, money wise or whatever, or in the trade, to be able to play.
yeah. I mean, Jonathan Kuminga is still out there. I don't know. I don't know if that necessarily works.
Wow, the Hawks didn't re-up Kaminga.
They did not. They no. Yeah, I believe he's unrestricted. Yeah, free agent right now. But
Is
no
there
one has
some
signed him.
noise? Is there some noise with that?
From what I've seen, it's been pretty quiet, which is very unfortunate because I really wanted Kuminga to do well. So
Yeah, but I don't know how much that helps because, like, you need
he
a
can't
guy.
really shoot. Yeah,
Yeah, and you need a guy in that role to say this. I'm gonna play this role.
yeah.
Luca is gonna score. Reeves is gonna score. I am gonna be like I'm gonna just come in and defend, and then like you said, add some spacing or add some, uh, you know, value on the offensive side by being able to catch and shoot or grab offensive boards, stuff like that. Uh, so you got to go get one of those dudes. And there's a lot of them in the league, but you just got to find the right one because you're trying to win a championship now. So you got to find the right one that has that D. But OKC got like 12. So you got to go. Uh, you got to go find someone like that. Like if you could get and I know he's not that big. Well, like we're talking about having some length, but like, can you go find a Casey Wallace type of dude? Can you go find like that? Right. That's the next thing. Like, the guy from the Trailblazers. He's way too good now. Okay, is Matthias Tybalt? Is he still out there?
I believe I'm gonna double check this right now, but I believe he's still unsigned. But woof, he's I think he's one of those guys where the plus minus is also pretty bad.
Yeah, but he don't like. He can still defend his ass off. No.
He can, yeah.
He,
Which it was kind of weird because when he was with the Sixers, who was my man's Brett Brown, I believe. When he was the coach,
Bruh.
he just let him go and he just let him do whatever he wanted. And then Doc Rivers came in and said, "No, you don't do none of that." And he tried
Yeah,
to put him
yeah.
in a box, and then ever since then, his his career has just been on the downslide. So
Yeah, you just need a wing, man. Like I'm gonna even sit there. The dude at with the Bucks who's been a disappointment. I've never seen a guy not shoot as much as this cat does not shoot. He was from UConn with the afro. He started with the Bucks. You know what I'm talking about.
I think I know who. Let me double check this because I don't want to say the wrong name. Because
And he has been. He don't shoot.
I got this right here. You said from UConn?
I believe so.
Andre Jackson Jr.
Yeah, I
Yes.
knew it was Andre. Yeah, like go get him. Like go get someone like that. You know, I know he doesn't shoot, but you got to get someone like that because I'm just sitting there going. I mean, what did people say the plan is? What's the
I don't
next
know that
step?
there's really anything left. I think they're just going to kind of go into the season looking like this, which is, oh, get ready because this is going to be a turnstile, and the Lakers are just going to say, "Oh, we gave up one on defense. We'll go get it back on offense." So
Yeah, maybe you have to play Vanderbilt at the 4. Just because of your roster and because of just giving you some defense. But the problem is you're gonna have to bench him.
he's going to shoot 30% on wide open corner threes, and JJ's going to pull his hair out, and he's going to.
And he doesn't even he doesn't have he can't finish at the rim at all, correct?
Unless it's a dunk, not really.
Yeah, he can't finish at the rim at all. He doesn't really he'll get an offensive rebound here and there, but he doesn't do it like some of these younger cats do, or some of these guys that are just better at it now. Do.
He's also not as much of a vertical spacer as like an Aaron Gordon or someone like that. So it's just, I don't know what we're going to do out on the wing. Have to hope and pray that Quentin Grimes can all of a sudden either grow several inches in height, or just end up being even worse on defense.
Yeah.
But yeah, if is there anything else you want to add on that point?
Nah, man, nah.
Yeah. Well, hey man, we're here. Jaylen Brown is now a 76er. I feel like most of the moves in this offseason have been completed. It's July 6th, so it's the first official day where you can sign players to the deals that you had already agreed to. A lot of those have already been in the books. There's probably going to be a couple extensions pretty soon as well for the younger players. I think Wemby's going to get a max extension.
Oh yeah, probably.
So, yeah, man, we'll be back soon to talk more about maybe the off season, maybe who knows. We'll get to the all too elusive blow it up or build it up segment that we have been talking about. But yeah, Ollie, thanks for hopping on, man. This was fun as always.
Yes, sir. Let the Jaylen Brown hate watch start this year.
High key, man. I really want to see Jaylen Brown just kind of like blow up all the analytics narratives.
Yeah,
so,
I'm gonna be looking at his advanced analytics this year. That's for sure.
Yeah, yeah. Well, everybody, thank you for listening to the Dad and Roll podcast. We'll be back very soon with another episode. Peace.